Hello, everybody, and thank you for joining me today. It's Allan Laboucan with the Rocks and Stocks News website. We've got another interview, or one of our series of interviews with executives from exploration, gold and companies. And today we have one of my new sponsors, TRU Precious Metals. They recently came on as a sponsor of my website, and then they delivered with the drill hole not long after. So I got to thank them for that. Joel Freudman is the CEO, and Barry Green is their chief guy on the rock side of things. Thanks for joining me again, guys.
Thanks for having us, Allan.
Yeah, thanks for having us. It's great.
Well, let's get right into chatting about what you did with the Truth Machine. You're drilling. You drilled into some visible gold. Just to put it into context, there's been some drilling in this area where you're drilling now, but never anywhere on your project has visible gold been found. Barry, put that into context for us.
Well, yeah, you're almost right. There was one other hole about 800 meters away to the northwest that historically did have like 1.5 meters of around 20-ish grams per ton, and it had some visible gold in it. And that hole also was very poorly sampled. So when we looked at the drill log, we noticed that there's a lot of missing. There's good descriptions of mineralization and veining, but it was very scarcely sampled. So that's one area. But this new area, it's the first time in this area, basically for about 800 meters, that anybody's encountered any visible gold. So we were pretty excited to see that, for sure.
And that's when it comes into the context of visible gold, that's quite a distance apart, 800 meters between those two zones. I mean, at Fosterville and the Swan Zone, which is an orogenic gold deposit, you could put a bunch of Swan Zones in between those two hits of visible gold, right?
Yeah, absolutely. The thing is, historically, there was a fair amount of visible gold being panned in the area, and that's what led the initial prospectors to come to this area. They were panning gold around the shoreline of Wood Lake, and then they brought a junior mining company in about roughly 20 years ago, and they ended up doing some trenching. But given the amount of visible gold that's been encountered in the tills, I'm surprised that there hasn't been more visible gold. So there's obviously the upside would be, or the hope that there would be more visible gold to be found, even besides what we've found so far.
And when I was looking at your map of where the historical drill holes were, there's sort of a cluster, and then it kind of goes to the west. Then there's more sporadic drilling to the east. And this VG hit was sort of on the eastern side of that cluster of holes. What's the context to that, Barry?
Well, the thing is, as we move to the southeast, we're moving around one of these hinges in the double, in this kind of the Z flexure, the big broad scale, more than 2 kilometer long, 1/2 kilometer wide Z flexure in the the Valentine Lake Shear Zone. So there was some previous drilling done to the southeast, but they had changed the angle of the drill to drill towards more towards the north as they were going that way. And when we looked at
that second hinge, it drops to the south again. Once it goes to the east, it then drops to the south. So they were kind of drilling in that direction, north and east, correct?
Yeah. Well, they were drilling almost due north as you move as you move down kind of in the direction that we're moving to the southeast. So when we looked at the magnetic data, it didn't seem like it was actually turning, as quickly as previous drillers had been looking at. So we decided that we weren't going to drill in the same orientation that they were drilling. We were going to actually go 40 degrees to that. And so this is the first time that, out in that part of the prospect, that people have drilled at the angle that we drilled at. And maybe that was sort of the catalyst to picking up a little bit of VG because the previous guys didn't drill that way. So it all depends on kind of the fracture set that you're intersecting. Sometimes in these systems, there can be multiple different kind of directions of veining and fracturing within a broad shear zone system, and some of which are kind of lower grade, some of which are higher grade. And if you can get onto the higher grade trend of the kind of the fractures of the veins, well, that's really where you'll find, I guess, the best numbers, right? So that's
Because
sort
that's
of
where the rocks are best prepared for the fluids to come up and start dispersing, correct?
yeah, exactly. It's all has to do with kind of where you are with respect to the shearing, right? So different fracture sets and different vein sets will open up, some of which will be better grade than others.
Well, when I first looked at you guys, the thing that stood out like a sore thumb to me was the southern end where that Valentine Lake structure follows and then hinges to the east and then hinges back down to the south. And I'm not surprised that that's where that second hinge is where you hit this visible gold. Joel, you guys are also working with Gold Spot. Gold Spot Discoveries has got a lot of attention lately. They're using machine learning to compile all the geological data and then be able to use that to generate targets. Where do things stand with your efforts working with Gold Spot?
Well, Barry's actually been a bit closer to it because we've been working with one of their geophysicists in particular lately. They have a team that's assigned to TRU as a client. We've fed them all the data. We've been able to compile both internal or proprietary from our own soil sampling and prospecting program this summer, as well as historical data, including historical drill hole data. Barry and our exploration manager, Pierce, have kind of amassed a very good quantity of historical geological data that's out there, including from non-public sources. So we've really tried to aggregate as much exploration information as possible, feed it to Gold Spot, have them run it through not only their machine learning or their algorithms, but also working with their team of geologists, PhDs, technical specialists to help target our drill program at Woods Lake. So they even went as far as proposing a set of drill holes based on all the information we fed them, to give us the best shot at getting some good hits. And Barry can probably elaborate on it a little bit, but so far we've definitely been pleased with their support.
Go ahead, Barry, elaborate.
Well, yeah, well, we asked them to take all the data, and basically they've got everything that we've got. And we said, give us a set of, if you were drilling this yourself, where would you drill? So basically put all your heads together, with all of the experience that you have and your AI system, put everything together. You tell us where you would drill. If you want to do some infill on the basic, start sort of defining the Wood Lake gold zone a little more. Plus, if you want to do some scout holes, plus, of course, there's going to be some new drilling coming up in another area called the King George IV. Kind of another target area on the property. And, so this is what they gave us. As it turns out, this one hole that we hit the VG in is not one that they gave us, but it's one that I added in, kind of supplemented into their kind of what they had given us. But anyway, we're still quite happy with what they've given us to date, for sure.
Well, and I recognize that area pretty quickly as well. It sticks out like a sore thumb, Barry. So you spotted the hole well, and you hit with it. And I think that's another topic that we should touch on a little bit, is that that Valentine Lake structure goes right through the extent of your project. There's also some cross-cutting faulting. And at the intersection of some of that is where you found some of these, some gold occurrences as well. One of the best geochemical indicators of gold is gold. And when you find it on the right structural story, especially when you're looking for these orogenic kind of systems, that's what, that's what you're looking for. So I guess what I want to say is you guys, this is a target rich project.
I know Barry's probably eager to jump in it too, so I won't steal all his thunder, because Barry and Pierce, of course, have been heavily responsible for putting together the targets. I guess at a high level though, Wood Lake is the obvious target, and that's where we're doing the more infill drilling and advancing the known drill holes and gold hits there. But there's a second swath of area that would be a target, in addition to a number of targets that we just haven't even had time to fully develop. And that would be the King George 4th area, where
And
there
those
seems to be
north of where you're drilling right now.
That's right. It's a little bit north, a little bit west. And that, we put out a press release in mid-June saying we think maybe there's a splay structure off the main Cape Ray Valentine Lake shear zone that would represent an additional interesting target area. And so we will be drilling the King George 4th segment of the property of Golden Rose fairly shortly. But Barry's been very much involved on the ground, Barry Pierce, our whole exploration team. And there's really actually more targets for follow-on work and then drilling than we can actually handle in one field season. So we're trying to be systematic, but there's 45 kilometers of strike length in this property. And then we expanded through acquisition and staking this summer. So there's kind of no shortage of work to be done at the property.
And Barry, those sort of forks in the road of where a couple of faults meet are kind of, again, ideal, like this hinge zone area. Is that correct? And expand a little bit, if you could, on what Joel was talking about.
Yeah, so I think there's a lot more to the story, which I'm sure we're going to have for another chat down the road, because we're unfolding a whole sort of series of targets on this property. And which we're quite enthused about, but one of the key takeaways is that what Joel was talking about, this splay structure, which we mentioned in one of our earlier press releases, that basically adds another 15 to 20 kilometers or so of strike length on another secondary sort of structure that we believe is very equally as prospective as the main shear zone. So there's no shortage of places to explore for gold on this property. I can say that much.
Yeah, and with the gold occurrences, it's not just like you're waving your arms around, oh, there's a target, there's a target, there's a target. You've got the structural story and gold occurrences.
Exactly.
And geophysics.
Yep, and geophysics. Yeah. So, 6 months from now, or we're going to know a lot more about this property than we know already. We only got it really. Well, it was May before we became like a new mining issuer, and it was. So we've had like June, July, August, September, October, with the property, and now November. So
short months.
Yeah, so we really, there's an awful lot more. We're seeing really good signs already throughout several areas on the property. There's going to be other good targets coming up, but for now, these are the main two areas that we're looking at right now. But there's no shortage of areas that we're going to be kind of developing going forward.
Certainly,
a pipeline.
Yeah, that's sort of the ticks all the boxes of what you want to look for when you're looking for one of these orogenic systems that make their way up from deep below. And so drilling, let's I know we're a little short on time here. Where do we stand with current drilling? And also I wanted to talk a little bit about how you're going to chase this VG. Can you expand sort of along strike, and then at depth, how are things formulating in your mind regarding that, Barry?
Well, we're going to wait for the assays to come back for sure. And right now we're following up on all of the other targets that both the Gold Spot and us, it kind of independently have determined that are, kind of follow the program that we've laid out. There's quite a number of other kind of scout areas as well, but we're already looking at doing some more infill near hole 5. We just, when that time comes, we're definitely going to do something in that area. We just haven't nailed it down yet exactly. We want to wait for the assay, see what we got. We don't want to kind of jump too quickly. So we're kind of following our sort of planned program, but we will be coming back there.
Perfect. Joel, how is the cash situation and the seasonality? I think you guys can drill right through, maybe break for Christmas, then get back on in the new year. Is that all in the works? Is everything looking good in that front?
We're certainly well capitalized. At June 30th, which is our last public numbers, I think we had around 6.3 million of working capital. We're going to be releasing our Q3 financials some point fairly shortly, now here in early November. So that'll give an updated cash position, but we'll still have a very significant cash balance well into the millions. And even by year end, because the costs of drilling and general exploration work in Newfoundland are a bit lower than elsewhere, we'll still have millions of dollars left by year end.
Not
Depends
just
exactly.
a bit lower, by the way. It's very low drilling costs there.
The drilling costs are below 150. We'd say about below $150 per meter. It's certainly a cost-effective jurisdiction in which to run an exploration program. As for specific numbers on the cash front, like I said, if we're at 6.3 million before, even if you go based on our historical cash burn, which included a drill program, probably talking anywhere from $3 to $4 million left in the treasury by year end, which is certainly enough for a follow-on program into 2022.
And by then, you'll have started to get assay results from the drilling and
sure,
lots of news flow.
Yeah, there's not going to be a shortage of news flow. We're already waiting for the assays back from parts of this hole with the visible gold. We didn't even submit the whole hole. We still have a number of prior holes to submit, and then of course our driller continues to make good progress. So there's going to be rolling submissions of samples to the lab. Even with lab backup, we will be rolling out results, as we get appropriate batches of data that we can kind of put together a bit of an assessment of what's going on in each area. And then into the new year, we don't want to, like Barry said, we don't want to jump the gun too much. So we are waiting for more results to roll in and even for our program to continue before we finalize what we're doing in Q1 of 2022 and next year. But, the drill is going to be there until at least the holidays this year. And as we get results, we'll see what we want to do in the first quarter of next year. There's also other surface level exploration we're already thinking of for Golden Rose. So we are looking ahead, but we'd like to have a bit more data on hand before we start firming up a multi-million-dollar exploration budget on which to execute. So we're trying to be prudent and systematic, but definitely starting to already think of Q1 and beyond of next year.
Perfect. That makes all the sense in the world. I know we only got a minute or two left, guys. You got lots of news flow. You got the drilling underway. You're finding some encouraging signs early. I wanted to talk about one other catalyst, gold. There's the money printing has gone out of control. The debt is gone out of control. Inflation is starting to kick in. Supply and demand is very good for gold. I think gold itself can be a good catalyst. What do you guys think about that?
We agree. It's great to see gold cross $1,800 in recent days. There's a bit of a knee-jerk reaction early last week in anticipation of a Federal Reserve. I think it was either minutes or rate decision. And since then, gold's really taken off. as I guess people realize that the Federal Reserve in the States are going to keep their monetary policies quite easy. And of course, you still have the ongoing inflation, which is becoming increasingly evident. So gold's role as an inflation hedge should continue to support it. I think it's great to see momentum now, as early November, independent of our own performance as a company. And historically, November through February is the strongest seasonality for gold, and especially January and February. So we figure leading into this period, if we can combine it with some solid exploration progress, it's within our own control as a company, we will have a number of tailwinds behind us moving forward.
Plus, Newfoundland's got a lot of attention right now, eh, Barry?
Yeah, it has. We just, another, I guess, good news story, and another part of the central mineral belt, the gold belt, will help kind of keep that momentum moving. So we're hoping we're the next one here.
So you guys got lots of catalysts. You're delivering with the Truth Machine, lots of news flow. Let me wrap it up. Thank you again, guys, for joining me today.
Thank you so much, Allan.
Thanks, Allan. We appreciate the opportunity.
All right. If you have to go, it's okay. I can close it off. If you want to listen in, that's fine as well. So there you go, folks. I recognized the potential of this company when I first had a conversation with Barry and Joel. And I think that it's got all the right hallmarks of what you look for when you're looking for orogenic gold deposits. And they're doing that at a time when Newfoundland is getting a lot of attention, gold's starting to go in the right direction. They've got lots of catalysts ahead of them, and they only have 66 million shares out and currently a $10 million valuation. If you deliver with the assays in Newfoundland, companies have 100 million plus valuations. I think these guys got that kind of potential. As always, I say, my shows are for information purposes only. It's important for you to do your homework. People that do their homework tend to make more sound investment decisions, regardless of what company you're looking at. And I really invite you to check out TRU Precious Metals. Go to their website, look at all their pictures, look at all their news releases. I think you're going to understand why I like the company, why I invited them to be a sponsor. And now with their recent drilling, it's made me very happy that I recognized something good before the Truth Machine was even really getting cranked up. So do your homework, check them out. Have a great day, and we'll be talking to these guys more in the future. We'll talk to you soon.